Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to our April General Meeting program. I've entitled it Browsers and Browbeating, making sense out of it all. We hear too many questions about browsers, and we have too many people giving wrong answers about what they know about browsers. So today we're going to try to put everybody on the same page and everything like that. So hopefully after the meeting's over, you'll say, oh, I didn't realize that, or I learned something new.
Well,
All right, here we go. First thing up, reading assignment. Come on. Read this.
oh, I love it.
It's upside down.
Sure. Good, fortune.
All right, try this.
Chinese.
No good that way, huh? How about this?
Yeah.
Getting closer.
Getting closer, okay? How about this?
That's
French.
And maybe now we're getting closer.
Oh, that's Spanish, huh?
Yeah.
And
Hey.
how about here?
Hey, we're going right.
All right.
Deutsch.
Yeah.
Finally, you've got something that you can read. You couldn't read the other ones, most of you, because it was in a language that you don't understand. And we had to, if we wanted to try to read those, somebody would have to translate that for us. If you go back and watch the video again, there's what you actually were watching.
Chinese.
Number 2 was Hindi, language that I didn't have to learn to write, but I spoke Hindustani as a young boy. And Chinese, Dutch, people were guessing French and Spanish, and so I was wrong. You were right when somebody was getting it. I decided that the Spanish might be the closest one some of you might go. And of course, English. This was neat because this is a service on Google. I took the paragraphs that you could read, and Google has a translator on the web that will translate what you type into about 100 different languages. So all I did was say, take this, translate it to Hindi, you saw it, Chinese, Dutch, French. But we needed a translator because you couldn't read it. All right, I'm going to give you one more to read. And my guess is that there will be some people in here that will say, oh, I know what that is, so if you do, don't say it out. But the rest of you take a look and see if this makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Only a few people. This is HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. This is the language of the Internet's web pages. But you can't understand what you see, because what you need to have is a translator. Now, these web pages start with that HTML, and we're not talking about web creating. I'm just pointing out that it takes HTML, that junk that you saw before, the CSS, cascading style sheets, and I'm not going to even talk about it, and JavaScript. Definitely don't want to talk about JavaScript. But you have to run it through a translator. And when you do, then you will see exactly what it is. That page that you saw in that coding was from our website. The same website that had that text that you saw in English and all those other languages. This translator that translates this language of the Internet is what we call a browser. And here's the big fancy definition. A web browser, commonly referred to as simply browser, It's a software application that's on your computer used for retrieving, presenting, and transversing information resources on the World Wide Web. Many different browsers are out there. So this is a software application that runs on your computer to translate all of that junk into something that makes sense. I don't expect you to be able to see this that well. But what I want you to be impressed with and be wowed by, every line up there is a different browser. These are browsers that have been developed way back, whatever that first number is back down there that I can't see, all the way up to like 2018 and stuff. You'll notice that some of those lines stop and some lines start later. Most of you people, with your eyes being focused by Microsoft, you didn't know that there were hundreds of web browsers. You only think that there's Internet Explorer. Surprise, there's not. Those of us in the Linux world, that also looks like the way the Linux operating system is developed, because people create some don't last, some last a long time. I want to talk to you about what a browser is not. And this is the biggest thing in the classes that we teach and in the meetings that we have, in my conversations with people all over the place about computers. The browser is not the internet. I can't tell you how many people think the browser is the internet. And that's Microsoft's fault from the beginning when they called it Internet Explorer. So everybody thought it was the internet. It is not. The internet is what comes to your house from your internet provider and brings a highway of data that goes back and forth. It lets you view the files that are stored on computers around the world. And this is why when I work with somebody, and Jim's probably worked with somebody, and a few of us that have worked with people, when they call and tell us, my internet doesn't work, that's not good, because most of the time it's their browser that's not working. But if you only have one browser on your computer, then you're really stuck, because you might not know whether it's the internet that's a problem or your browser the problem. One of the ways that those of us who do can repair is that we are able to try to check, like your email. Back in the days when people had Outlook Express, nowadays when they get Thunderbird, if their email comes through, there's nothing wrong with your internet. If you have a weather app on your computer that goes out and gets the current weather, like right now, oh, it stopped raining. Your internet is working. And we also have been able to figure out if your computer is getting updates, because we go into where it says, updates, and it says that, recently, your internet is working. So your browser is not the internet. It's just a software that allows you to see what's out there on the internet. The email client that you use on your computer lets you read mail that is being sent through the internet. The kind of mail that Mike or Ken and I use, and Ira has, it's encrypted when it goes through the internet. So when it gets to our end, we have programs that will unencrypt it. So, browser is not.
Can I make a short comment?
Yep.
Make sure that everybody understands that the web is only part of the internet. There's a lot more out there than just the web.
The problem is we don't use anything much more than www, because that's the biggest popular, but has the most features that we have. Web browsers are applications that are installed on your computer made by different companies. Here you see some of the main companies, and this is the ranking by one source, it's pretty reliable, of the popularity of the browsers. Google, a company, makes one called Chrome and Chromium. Chromium happens to be what we call the open source. Chrome is their closed up, you can't see what's in there. Mozilla, they make one called Firefox. Microsoft makes one called Internet Explorer that almost everybody knows, and that's why they thought it was the Internet. Apple creates one that's Safari. Reason I'm including that is we used to be able to install Safari on Windows computers, and then Apple said we're tired of dealing with Microsoft people, so we stopped supporting it and don't make any new ones. But it, as you can see, is the fourth most popular because that's all it can really run sort of on Apple. Microsoft now has a second browser called Edge, but notice it's not as popular or used as Internet Explorer still. But that's going to change because Microsoft 10 will be dropping Internet Explorer at some point in time. Don't get too used to it. Atello used to be called the Opera Corporation, is now Atello, and that's another browser. And then the one I'm telling everybody about, that's the newest one that I think is the best one, is Vivaldi Technologies, called Vivaldi. Vivaldi is created by the person that initially created Opera. After years working with Opera, he decided, I'm ready to retire, go do something else. He turned over the project to the guys that were still there. And as the years went by, he didn't like what they were doing with Opera. But he can't say anything because he gave them the project. Well, since he developed it with kind of the open source, he had all the stuff. So he said, okay, I'm coming back and I'm putting Opera back the way it should have been. And he called it Vivaldi. If anybody's a music person, they see the pun or the relationship there because Vivaldi writes operas. What else is a browser not? Here's the other thing that is the hardest thing for people to learn, and they don't. Your browser is not your searching thing.
Searching thing.
Yeah. It is not your search. And when people say that, oh, this is such and such, no. The browser is just a piece of software that lets you see out into the internet. Out in the internet, there are some websites and computers that are search services, or sometimes we call them search engines. You use your browser to go to them and use their material. Okay? So, you're really not. It's a database, as I said here. It has lots of information. They go out to every website and every page in the world, and they copy every word. And they have a database. So when you do your searching through one of them, not through your browser, through one of them, you end up with a list of websites that have that word on it. And that's another whole lesson about talking about searching. And APC did a great one with Huey that did our program on Chromebooks on how to do good searches. Because just because you're searching for a word doesn't mean that web page has any value to you. There are a number of search services. We have some major ones. Okay? The Google Corporation, and this is confusing because the Google Corporation has a search service called Google. Confuses people. Microsoft has a search service called Bing. Now, normally, your computer and your browser are kind of teamed up to begin with. So if you're using Chrome, which is made by Google, they are automatically sending you to Google for searching. if you use Internet Explorer or Edge, and Microsoft wants you to use Edge, you will be default automatically sent to Bing. We also have a major search service called Ask. A lot of people don't know about this because they think their browser is their search. Ask.com used to be what we use in schools a lot called Ask Jeeves. Now they just dropped it to Jeeves retired. He was a butler. That was their logo. And so we just have Ask. But it is one of the highest serviced. We have a new one called DuckDuckGo. It's coming along and gaining because we tell people about it. Because it's not connected with a browser. So you have to hear it from some of us in some of our classes and whatever, that the value of DuckDuckGo is that they don't track what you're doing, so it's very secure. And as we pass the word, more and more people are directing their searches through DuckDuckGo. Yahoo has a search service, among other things. And I'm adding one more because this is the one that when I taught it in school to middle schools, all the boys would laugh because I would talk about Dogpile. Dogpile is a mega search, and there's a couple of them. And what Dogpile does is they go out to a number of individual services, gather up all the duplicates, and then give you the shrink down results. Which is nice because you go to any of these, you'll get some of the same stuff. So Dogpile and a couple of those meta searches will change it down. Now, again, most people think of Google and Bing because that's attached to your browser. However, if we are talking about what a search engine service really is, you have to add these. And people at first don't realize. But in addition to Google, Bing, Ask, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Amazon is one of the top search services. But it focuses on retail and purchasing. But that's their Amazon would be just like Google and Bing, only it focuses on items to buy. Facebook is a search engine. It's a social one where it searches for people, and you connect that way. LinkedIn is a high level or a highly used search engine primarily for business. And unfortunately, I have people that want me to connect with them on LinkedIn, and my answer back is, I'm retired. I don't need to connect. I don't want to connect with workers. But LinkedIn is a huge one. YouTube. Most people just think they go to YouTube to watch videos. Well, YouTube is a search engine for videos. We all know about Twitter. If you didn't know it before the new president, you do now. It is, you can go to Twitter and search for comments. And Pinterest. It's one where people put up their pictures and the things that they do. It's also a search engine. Al?
Don't forget eBay. That comes up in searches too a lot.
Yep, I didn't have to say I ran out of room. But see, eBay is very close to Amazon. It's for buying things. But so there are. And the reason we have a different ones of them is that somebody says, oh, I can do one better. Where we come to in this whole thing now is people don't realize these are all independent. It doesn't matter what operating system you're using. You can use whichever browser you want. And there are even some browsers that I didn't list. You saw that list of what has happened in the past. But there are some that I haven't listed. You can use any one of those browsers. And no matter what browser you're using, You can use whatever search engine you like. So if you're using Windows and you're using Edge, they want you to use Bing, but you can use Google, you can use DuckDuckGo. You're not stuck, but most people think they are. You go into your settings, and they say, what do you want to be your default search? Pick what you want. Any questions on that? So that was the biggest hard thing, is people don't realize you have choices.
Do each one of those do the same search ad, or are they a little different?
Those are the people who know me, I always relate everything to cars. When I teach Linux and do my Linux World presentations I'm talking cars. Are all the cars doing the same thing? Do they get you from here to there? Okay. Do each manufacturer have different features and stuff on theirs? But they all do the same thing. You know, some of them do it better, one way or the other. So what I tell people, these are all free. Free John. These are free. Go and test drive. You have to decide. Go and try using Google for your searching. Try Bing. Try Ask. Try DuckDuckGo. See which one fits best for you. Same thing with browsers. They're all free. You can have our computers in the classroom, because we teach internet, have all 4 browsers on the computers so that we can try things out. The only thing on your computer that you can't have 2 of is antivirus. Lauren talked about that a lot. So you can have multiple browsers. Test them out. See, do you like Edge best of the group? And what you like isn't necessarily what I'm going to like. And what you like doesn't matter to me. If I don't like what you like, it doesn't matter. I'm using what I like. Of course, you know that's Linux and DuckDuckGo and such like that. Dave?
Regarding Amazon, that of course is focused on what all the products that Amazon sells.
Correct.
But you can go, I think it's worth mentioning that you can go to any other major shopping site like Target or Staples or Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot. You go to any of these major sites and you can search within their site. You'll have a search box somewhere on the site at the top of the page, at the home page. You can put in what you're searching for, and you're going to get a list of results if you do a search on their website.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Each of these big stores decided, hey, we can do that. Why should we have our customers leave and go there? So what you have to do, if you're looking to buy something, you can check Best Buy, Staples, Amazon. Where are you going to get the best deal? Oh, I forgot I also checked Micro Center because that's in Columbus. So you can check from your home and find the best deal. Maybe one day it could be Best Buy. Maybe one day it's Staples. Maybe one day. But yeah, everybody's getting into the act. And that just points out you have many choices. They're all free to use, most usually, and you can use whatever you want. You are not stuck. Too many people think you are.
Are we at that point where we can make comments and ask questions?
It's a real quick one because we.
Okay, well, I was going to say, I bought a new laptop or a tablet and I didn't have a cover for it, so I went to Walmart, found one that was made just for this model, right? And I ordered it online. They shipped it to me in 5 days. Shipping was free. It only cost $10.
Yeah.
And delivered to my door.
You got to check. That's what the internet brings. It's not Edge. It's not Firefox. It's the internet, because you're connecting to those companies and looking through their files to see what they have. All right, so the rest of today, because there are so many, I'm going to focus on just 4 browsers because I want you to see and realize they're the same. They're like cars. You're going to have to test drive and see which one you like. Now, common elements or features that belong to browsers. And number one, address bar. This is that bar where you type something in, which is called address. The official is a Unified Resource Locator, URL. Normally, it's a number, 4 sets of numbers, 3 digits max, and it has a certain number to it. And so, like a telephone number, you would type that in and go to that website. The problem is would have a hard time remembering all these numbers. When I got a phone call from Nancy today, I didn't answer it because it wasn't in my phone book. And I looked at the number, I said, whoa, this is kind of an odd number. Well, when she called back and left a message, I called her right back. And the reason it was odd, because her phone number is one different than my phone number. Yeah.
Ooh, that's close.
Yeah, it is. One number was different. So anyway, so because we have trouble with numbers and 3 digits, 3 digits, 3 digits, 3 digits, anywhere from 1 in that group to 3 in that group, we can convert these into words. There is an organization that takes a name that you pick. We have both lccsohio.org and ecotech.club, and both of those will go to a numbered website to get to our place. So if you know the number, you can put it in the URL in the address bar. If you don't, you can use the word that goes with it. And there is an organization that makes sure that nobody else can use your word. They can use something similar, but they can't use your Mary Frances.
This is a good time for you to suggest, once again, for people that are sitting here today to show up to help desk, because I have had a recent phone call, and the person said, well, they told me to put it in my search bar, but I don't know where it is.
We're going to see that. Okay. Now, number 2 says search bar. And I put the little note, your choice.
One middle, one top.
You have the ability to determine by default which search service your browser goes to. Because people don't realize, I'm not searching Edge or Firefox. I'm searching a website that Firefox has been told to go to automatically. Over the years, some of the web browsers have said, why do we have 2? Let's just have 1. Because we have people that says, well, do I use this one or do I use this one? Well, if you understand that the big one is the address, you type an address in, and the small one is usually a search for your words, it made sense, but people didn't know, so a couple of them said, let's just make 1. The problem I've seen happening is that when people try to put in a web address and don't do it right, you end up doing a big search. And I've had people who've tried to come to ecentralohioecho.club, and they don't type it right, so they got this big search engine. They're going, well, where am I now? How did I get here? Well, because the computer didn't catch this as a real address, so they put you to search. So personally, I prefer not combos. You have a back and forward button, which here's something that maybe some people didn't know. If you right-click on those arrows that go back and forward, you'll get your history of where you've been. And if you go backwards, you'll get your history of where you've been forward. Because I know a lot of people, to go back to where they've been, go back, 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 back. If you just do right-click, boom, down at the bottom of that list, there's where you want to go, instead of going back, 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 back. So there's a little secret for some people. Another button that you have is a refresh reload button. It looks like a circle going around. In the same place, the next thing on the next screen, which is a stop, when you go to some place, in between going there and getting there, you get an X. Then if you decide, oh, I don't want to be there, you can click the X. So not too many people have both a refresh button and a text, but that doesn't mean you would. Some browsers might. Refresh, reload. The importance of this that a lot of people did not know is that when you go to a website, your computer copies that website into your computer. The next time that you go to that website, you don't go to the real website. Your computer says, I'm lazy. I don't want to go way out there. I've got it right here. So it brings up the copy that's on your desk or in your computer. The problem is that is an old copy. Some websites never change, but some websites change. And if you're looking at an old copy, you click on the refresh, reload, and then the computer goes out and gets you a brand new one. We've had this happen before when some people have said that the website calendar of events is not up to date.
Right.
And I've said, well, it is because I put them up to date. They said, well, I looked at it and it's not. Because they were looking at a stored copy and it was wrong. Hit that refresh, reload, you would get the new updated one.
Which button is refresh?
The little, looks like a circle chasing. We'll see that in just a minute. So there's the stop button. We also have a home button. Sometimes it's shown, sometimes it's not. So that you can pick a place that's safe or where you want to start. That's why I call it no place like home. So that no matter where you are on the internet, you can hit the home button and get back to a location that you've said, I want to get back to. Some people don't use it, so in some browsers it's not there until you put it back. You also have a settings or options button. Some call it settings, some call it options. And I got the threes, because nowadays we've gone from what looked like a gear shift wheel or a cog. I do a cog because it reminds me of Flintstones with the Coswell cogs. They've gotten rid of that symbol, and for some reason, because somebody said, we think this is better, we now have three something. On one of your browsers, there are three vertical lines. We call that a hamburger. Top bun, burger, and bottom bun. And somebody else says, well, I want something different, so they have three dots. And somebody said, well, I want three dots, but I don't want it this way because you're using it, so I put my dots this way. The problem is, they're sometimes hard to see. If you're having any kind of vision problem, dots are hard to see. So you're going to have to look. We also have across the bottom a status bar. And sometimes it's not there. You have to say, I want to see it. Status bar is important because it will tell you, if you're going to click on a link somewhere, it's going to tell you where you're really going. The page up here where your mouse is might be telling you one thing. We're going to Disney World. And down here it's going, but you don't know because it says here, don't believe it. And the newest thing, that I guess I didn't even know, I always wondered about it, is that the area in the window that you're viewing your page is called the viewport. Like a window port on a ship or something.
I don't know what that means.
View, that's what you're viewing. That's that square area. David?
You basically mean everything below the address bar and if you have the menu bar showing, it's below that.
Between that,
Between
Wow.
that and the status bar.
Yeah, this actually displays the
It's
page.
the actual content
right.
of the page.
Yeah. Now, some features of browsers that sometimes are visible, sometimes not right away. You have the ability, you can open up multiple browsers. You can open up Edge 4 times and do 4 different things. You can open up, like I can do on here, you can open up Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and Vivaldi. You can open up 4 different ones. And you can, on some of these, you open up tabs. Because I don't want to have to go to different, programs, but I can have tabs that I can be doing multitasking things. You have the ability that you visit websites that you like, you can mark them as bookmarks that everybody says, or Microsoft calls them favorites. And you have the ability to extend the function and features and the goodness of web browsers by adding extensions or add-ons, things that make it better. So let's check them out. Yeah, Al?
One thing, you mentioned about the status bar being visible or not. Another important thing that is like that is the menu bar. I thought, the file, view, help. You can turn that on and off. Sometimes people landlords on it. There's a setting
The
for
reason that those are gone is because people want real estate. They want that bigger view port. So this is why they got rid of the menu bar and put it under the dots. So everything that you used to do in the menu bar is under the dots, plus your settings and your options. We're going to look at the four and compare them. And here you are, top row, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Vivaldi, because that's the order that the research. If you can remember the same numbers, I've coded them. But as you look up at Chrome, you'll see that on the far left, all of them have number 4, which is forward and backwards. That's kind of universal. The far right or left is the button. And then the next to that, almost everybody has, 555, is the refresh button. So Bob, there's the refresh, the reload, which is that circle going around. You'll notice that Vivaldi adds another one. It has a double arrow. Think of your tape recorders, or your CD players. One arrow says go to the next. The double arrow says start at the beginning. So they added a little extra so that you can jump all the way to the beginning where you started and all the way to the end. You'll also see that everybody has a number 7 because I put them there. But you'll notice that in Chrome, there is no home button.
It's an option.
It's an option. Because Chrome people say very few people really use a home. They just go to wherever they want. They go to their bookmarks. They don't really need and want a home. But if you want one, you go to settings and you can add it. Now, if you look at Chrome, they have a number 3, which means that's a combined bar. Firefox, it was a combined bar, but I added the search back because I like it that way. Edge only has a single combined. And Vivaldi says, really the people who use it the most and stuff, they like to have the 2 searches. You'll see on the end over here, there's the 3 different things. Chrome has the 3 dots above each other. Firefox has the hamburger. Edge has the horizontal. And Vivaldi doesn't have anything there. Because Vivaldi says people hardly go to the settings to take up room to add more icons. If you want settings, it's in File. It's also keyboard. Those of us who do keyboard shortcuts, there's a keyboard that pops the settings up right away. So that's just the way the developer said. People don't do that as often. Here is our website viewed through the Chrome browser. And I put the word up there because it gets really hard to tell which is which because they look so much alike. They work so much alike. But it's like cars. They might look alike, work alike, but you'll prefer one over the other. I always tell people about when I had a car for a GM car. GM at the time had 5 divisions. There was one car that I drove that there were 5 versions. I drove a little Pontiac Sunbird. And there was a Cadillac Cimarron. The exact same car, but it had all the extra features and all the extra money. All right, so there's that one. There's Firefox. There's your Edge. And there's your Vivaldi. Now, I'm going to go back. Page. Okay. I told you about the bookmarks. Everybody has their lone way. In the Chrome, you can see that star. If you have a website that you want to make a favorite, you can just click that and it brings up the bookmark menu, and you can change the name of it and save it. So they have, theirs is a star. Now, if you want to go to your bookmarks, see the star with the line that said this is a list. So you go to that one to see all of the bookmarks that you already have. If we go with the Firefox, you'll see the same kind of star. But look over on the right-hand side. You see that little icon? What's it look like?
Hamburger.
No, two before the hamburger. Yeah, books. So there's your bookmarks. So you make a bookmark with the star, and you do it. Now, of course, there is a keyboard shortcut. Oh. Thank you. We're done with our programming. I got it down. No. So you make the bookmark and you view your bookmarks. We go to Edge, make your bookmarks, view your bookmarks. Gee, that looks quite a lot like the one I saw a little bit ago. And Vivaldi, bookmarks, and I think that's the one for Make It. There's your status bar that tells things. This one also will let you easily do your magnifying stuff. Down here also has some extra stuff that you can do. And I have to point out that you need to check out Vivaldi and see, because over here on the side menus, there's all my bookmarks are there. If I want to see them, like everything else, I click that and they're all listed in the sidebar. If I don't want to see them, I click it and it goes away. This is my downloads. If I click that, you'll see all of the downloads you had. I don't have to go to my downloads folder. I can just click here. In Firefox, I think it'll show you the recent download, but you got to go to the download folder to see it. All in there. There's a clock. That's my history. They have a fantastic history. Not only do they have it listed, but they have a calendar and something. It's really something. This one also is neat because this is for taking notes. I'm on the web and I'm doing searching. I can pop that out and I can type some notes about things as I go along. I don't have to open up a text editor.
I think that one online, I don't know if it's notes, but that will show you the closed tab. So if you inadvertently close the tab, you can click one of those icons. I think it was the last one, and it'll show you them.
Yeah, I jumped ahead because I can't read without my glasses. But there's the history, and it's
Well, no, not history. It's just closed tabs. History is a separate one.
All right, so let's go, and I'm going to make time. Oh, we've got plenty of time. Same time. Good job. So let's go live now, because that way you can see it and you can say, oh, click that, click whatever, and we'll take a look at the browsers. And that ends that one, so I go out here. All right, and as you can see, I've made my taskbar. I've got all four of them here, and I can even have all four of them running. Now, I'm watching the back screen because that's what's the live going out to our Zoom. Because I'm not quite sure what happens when I start messing with the browsers and stuff when we're using, Zoom. All right, we'll start with Chrome. Chrome starts out with a default page where this gets confusing for people. Because Chrome defaults to Google, we are at a page that is Google's search page. If you go to google.com, this is what you'll see. So this is the page that Google has that pops up. So you can search here or here. I can type the URL here or here. Because a lot of people get confused. Am I supposed to use the top or the bottom one? Either one. This is not what I see, because I say, why do I need a page that has a search bar when I've got it up at the top? You also, at this point, have your link to your Gmail, to image search, and all the other Google applications that you might have being a Google member. So if we go East Central Ohio. Now, computers remember. I've worked with somebody recently because their pages come up wrong. And I said, well, that's because it's remembered you typing in something wrong. Somebody said, well, it's putting in my username on a page. Well, the browser wants to be helpful, and it will fill it out for you because they know you come to this page and you have to put your username in. Well, one page, my password goes in. Well, your browser wants to be your best friend and do everything for you. So you have to go in and set up your browser to do what it wants. So ecotech.club and see if it remembers it. So we'll go there so we're live. And as I said before, use my mouse. If I want to bookmark it, I click that. It says, what do you want to call it? And it'll even tell me where do you want to save it. If I want it to show up on my bookmarks bar and have a second bar, then I can add it to the bar and make the bar showing. But some people said, I don't want to lose real estate, so they will just put it in there. So I'm going to say I'm done with it.
John, can I make a comment?
Of course.
Just briefly. I use Chrome a lot myself, but it happens with every browser. Like you said, they try to be your best friend. And they'll try to remember things for you, but they can get confused if you change your passwords a lot, or if you let other people use your computer and sign in with their usernames and their passwords. Your browser will remember all that, and it'll get confused sometimes and give you suggestions to use somebody else's sign-in. I had that happen in my house. And there's a way to change all that, but it's complicated. I have to go to settings.
And that's like for another whole program type thing that we could take 20 minutes or so on each different browser and spend time, or half or one meeting on a browser and stuff like that. I'm just showing you, trying to make sense out of all this so you can see. My biggest goal is that you know that you're not restricted to what you use. Just because you're using Windows 10, you don't have to use Edge. You might like it, that's your choice. So now I made that bookmark, and so I had to go to my 3 dots and down to bookmarks, and there it is. So that's how easy it is to add. Of course, there would be keyboard shortcuts. If I want to go back to where I was before, I go to the back arrow, and now I'm back to that one. If I want to go forwards again, I go to that one. If I do a right click, you're only going to see one thing because we only have gone one place. But if we had gone a bunch of ways and you wanted to see go back but didn't want to go back one at a time, right click and there's your whole list. And so then you can just jump back, and of course that's just 1 dot away. If I do a right click on the forward, it'll give me all the places I've been before I came backwards. Notice this one does not have a status bar showing. Some people say, I don't like it to take up real estate. Well, if you like a status bar and you can't put it back on, then you might have to say, well, I'm going to use a different browser. That's your choice. Dave.
Did you turn off the status bar on it? The Chrome doesn't have by default. Does Chrome not have
Right.
status bar?
This, I created a new user and just put the browsers and stuff on. So we could probably definitely go to here and go to view maybe, more tools, no view there, settings, and you go to settings, there might be a view, and you down here, appearance, page, I don't see under appearance a status bar. So that may tell you that Chrome has taken it off. So you might have to decide. Now if I do it right, what?
Go to help.
It's crazy out there.
Go to help.
Yeah, go to help.
And what do you want me to do at help?
Status bar.
About Google Chrome. It's up to date. Reported issues. So help didn't help me there.
Now get help with Chrome, but that's a lot of work.
I have to go out onto a website.
Down one. Here's one.
There is a way to get it to show up.
Yeah, but see, it's not, we're making it right there plain easy. Now, if I had a home button, I could have it set to jump to like LCCS Ohio, but I don't have one. but I can have one if I add it on there. All right, let's we fire up Firefox just to see how it works. And get out for the drop down. And East Central Ohio. And of course, it's there because I went there to make that screenshot that you saw. And so I can go to East Central Ohio because it remembers where I've been. And there we go. Notice there is a home button here.
John,
You
you're assuming that everyone sitting here knows how to go to their remembered drop-down.
I didn't go anywhere. It did it for me,
I
Mary
know it
Frances.
did in this instance,
Uh-huh.
but if it wasn't the last thing you used, how do they find that to click on for that drop-down?
It drops down automatically.
No, I think I know what she's saying. If they
Sometimes
haven't
I
been there
do.
before, then the browser won't know what it is.
Do what?
If they haven't been there before, then the browser may not know where to go, so to speak. And I was typing this
So your question to me doesn't
Sometimes I.
match up with what I'm hearing.
after the first time.
John, I think here's what you can do. Go to a website that is not in your history, one that you're going for the first time,
Right,
Yeah.
to demonstrate, I think, the point she's getting at.
right.
Oh, if I've never been there, what am I going to do?
You gotta type in the whole
WNK.
Well, and so then it would be there the next time unless I had, what?
Said, don't remember my history.
Yeah,
I don't want anybody keeping track of my history. But, see,
thank you.
because Google has it, Firefox has it as a double thing, it's searching at the same time I'm typing a web address. WNKO.com is their web address. But before I get there, they're giving me all these possible search things. See, that's why I don't like a combo unit. Because it's trying to search when I don't want it to search. I'm typing the address. Stop trying to fill in for me. But yes, if once I go to it, then WNKO.com. Okay, so I'm there. And now I go back to where I was before. And there's where I started. And see, there's the same thing. They have a blank page with the search box there. So now if I type WN, see, it's part of the history, remember.
Yeah, you remember.
Yeah,
I mean, I do know these things, I'm just.
I know you do, but this doesn't work the way you remember it working when it's a combined combo search.
That's true.
Because it's not doing the drop-down list based on WNKO. It's doing it based on W and N's. So it's giving me all these things like WNBA teams, WNZR, WND, WNBA. See, it's just searching for what I'm typing.
Exactly.
If it's the old way, if it was just an address bar, it would drop down with just addresses I've been to that would fill it out. And again, too, this isn't a class to teach you how to do everything on a web browser. It's to tell you that stop banging your head. Now you know stuff. It's complicated. They want it to be that way. All right. So let me go back to our website. And if I wanted to make this a favorite, get out of my way. There's my star. I click it. I can change the names, where I want it to go. I'm done. Now, if I want to go to my bookmarks, as somebody pointed out, they look like some books. I click on my bookmarks, and there they are. I can also work with my bookmarks. I can go to my downloads. And there's my menu. I'm not going to get into that because there's just, you don't have time to go through all that. All right, last. Get away from the top. It drops down like that. There's our, wasn't it? Edge, there we go. And there we bring up Edge, same things. Starts out with their Microsoft page. And I have to tell you a little joke, humor. Teaching class the other day, we went to the internet for some reason, so I went to Edge because that's what you people who don't know that there are other choices have on your computer. It automatically came to MSN's website as their page. There was a news article I wanted to read about Boehmer changing his mind. He's going to start pushing marijuana. I clicked on the Microsoft and MSN's website. I clicked on their news, and I got a virus warning pop up. The one that voices started talking. Do not turn off your computer. Do not click on this. Call this number. And it kept repeating the number. Well, because I know computers, all I did was Alt F4 and close that window. But I said, I went on their computer, to their browser, to their website, and I got hit. First time I've had that happen on a Windows computer. All right, so let's see. I want to go to...
John?
Yeah.
Which, you say you were using Edge?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got the same thing with Edge.
Did you? Oh.
I got that same message in Firefox, though.
Were you on the MSN's page?
I'm not sure what I was on.
And I would agree, you could go to any page, but I was on Microsoft's Edge browser on Microsoft Network's own home page, clicked on one of their suggested news, and bang. Now, everybody wanted to try that on their computers. I couldn't get to go do again.
Yeah.
It just was a random thing on there.
So you say Microsoft is a virus?
So here we are with the website again for our club, and again, there's the star. And this is why drop-down boxes aren't so good, because if your mouse gets close to it, it drops down, interferes. This is going to make a lousy recording. Click the star, say I want to bookmark that. The old days we had to go to the menu, go to bookmarks, and do all this. So right there it is. Now, Edge gives you something different. Do you want to mark this as a favorite, or do you want to put this under a reading list for later? It's not a favorite website, but there's something I want to read later. So you have two choices. So I'm going to say favorites, and I can change the name, and I'm going to add it to favorites. So if you saw it quickly, its star jumped over to here. So now when I click on the star with the lines, I go to favorites, there it is. If I had saved it as a read later, it would be listed under stuff like that. And that's kind of a neat thing, because there are some websites that I want to read this article later. I don't necessarily want to make it a favorite or a bookmark. And again, if we do the back arrow. Now, there's other features to Edge that I'm not going to talk about. That could be somebody else's meeting who likes Edge, but there's the frequent stuff. And let me jump to Vivaldi, because I don't we do it all the same. Now, whoops, that's that. This one remembered the last page I had, so I'm going to hit the home button and go to their page. All right, this is where it should have come up. This website and some of the other ones, the browser, I'm sorry, will really be neat. That you can have multiple pages. When you open up the browser, it goes to either the home automatically that you picked, or a series of pages that you picked. Mine, Vivaldi, now does a double open. It opens to my Proton Mail, and then it opens up to my news source. So every time those two automatically start up, I don't have to go to my favorites and add the other one. All right, so if we do the same thing, and I go to East Central Ohio, there's the big drop down. You know, it remembers my history, the bookmarks I've made. It's searching with Bing. Ooh. Okay, so ECO, technology, user, and there it shows up again. So, and again, that's from the bar. They do have their own search. If I want to make this a favorite, and I like this because always before we had a star. What does a star mean? Well, We star things we like, I guess. This one, if you recognize it, it looks like a bookmark. So I click on it, and I can change the name again, and I put in my bookmarks, and I hit save. So now that's been bookmarked. If I go over here to my bookmark, and that's what that little icon is, I pop it out, and there it is, right there. It even shows me a preview of the web page I'm going to go to. So personally, this is my browser of choice because of all the features that it has. There's the note-taking. There's the recently tab that Al was talking about. And there's the history. I don't have much of the history except for some last night, too.
So and then the gear at the bottom is your settings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. See, I never looked down. My eyes can focus. There it is. So Al taught me something that I probably saw a long time ago, but because it's way down there at the bottom, I don't look down. All of my toolbars on my computers are always at the top, because I look at the top. All right, so they put theirs down the bottom instead of up there. Thanks, Al. That helped me out. All right, so you can see that they basically all work the same, but some have certain features that you really like. Now, I want to end up with going back, because I talked about extensions and add-ons. And we teach that in our internet class. In the classes we teach here, we bring it up. And a lot of people say, what in the world are those? Because you just, whatever you get, you do. You haven't heard that you can add things. And it started out with Firefox and Chrome having all these add-ons. And Microsoft now has their own add-ons that's in their store. So I'm going to go back, we're back to Chrome now. And if I go to the settings, I can go down here to more tools and go to extensions. Here are some extensions already on this browser. It's not on the computer, it's on the browser. And it's only on this browser's, or this user's browsers. All right, so they automatically added the one for Google Office because they want you to connect to Google. I got added the Avast one because when I installed Avast, they have a browser protection too, and so it was added, but I can remove it. So if I want to go and get more extensions, and I go down here at the bottom, I go to the Chrome Web Store. Now see, I looked and looked and looked and said, how do I get there? Then way on the bottom, Chrome Web Store. Oh, so we come here, it looks just like any website for getting applications and store. These are all of the extensions and themes that you can add to Chrome to make it do extra stuff. Now, we're not going to take the time because there are hundreds and hundreds, or as Judy Tallur would say, gazillions of them, to pick from. But you can start out by just going to categories, and here are the categories. And this one has accessibility. I'm trying to figure out where I went and found. Oh, I think I found it here. The one. There's the one add-on that's your password manager, if you wanted to have on that one. Add the Dropbox into yours, you can. And I found it on down here. There's an ad blocker. And it was right here to be able to be found. If you know what you're looking for, you just do a search. If you don't know, you need to come here and when you have some free time and look through these categories, because there are tons and tons.
The downside is if you get too many add-ons, it will really slow down your open and close times of any browser.
And that's what the browsers have to work on. Because if you want to add add-ons and it slows down, you're going to leave that browser and go to a different one. Okay, so I'm going to do the
question here.
add block.
That's what I was going to tell them to do.
Add
Good,
block
just to give them a
plus.
demonstration.
Yeah. It was in there before. So I want Ad Block Plus, which is none of those.
Ready to add block?
I want Ad Block, not Ad Blocker.
Right, just add block.
And so I'm going to have to go back. And that's because it tried to fill in for me. There we go, Ad Block Plus. And see, there's a whole bunch of different names. And this one's a high-ranking one. But I think I've switched to the Ghostry one, which is now open source. So I went with open source. So if I want to add it, I just click Add. Are you sure? Yep, add the extension. And it's been installed. So now, when I go back, to settings, and I go to on that one.
Advanced.
Now that's faster this way. More tools, extensions, and in that list you saw, you will now see that Ad Block is installed. I can turn it off. You need to go through whatever browser you're using and see what extensions and add-ons that you have available. Ad Block Plus will now block
Got a few questions.
ads.
Go ahead.
George?
Do you, now, it seems like I've done like an ad block before, and it did seem like it eliminates some of them, but I think it put a couple of their own on there.
Could have. That's why when you go, you need to know and do your homework. That's why the one I know is Ad Block Plus is the one.
I'm just saying, like, it
yeah.
might have removed a few more, but it had a few of its own.
If you go to the grocery store, have you ever gotten something that doesn't taste good?
Yeah.
It's been made, it's on the shelf, it's a product.
Right.
There's a couple different ones like that, but you get that one or that flavor and bleh. So same thing here. All right, so that's done here. So I'm going to get rid of Chrome and go back to Firefox, which is going to be very similar. I go down here to Options, and nope, did it backwards. Not under Options. See, you got to know the one that you're working with. And so you go back and more. Not more. No.
Making it customized.
Oh, no, it's right there, add-ons. See, they changed the name. I was looking for extensions. They do it add-ons. And so here is add-ons. There's some ones that they're pushing. So I go down here and say, see, more, go to their whole store. And again, here's their Firefox add-ons. I want extensions, not themes. And here's their categories. And here's their featured ones. And if you go through here, you'd find Ad Block Plus, but I'm going to do it faster. Ad Block.
Evidently, they don't want you to have Ad Block Plus on there, they want commercials from that way.
No, they want. It's right on there, and a lot of times it's recommended. So Ad Block Plus, I do the ad. It says, are you sure? Yep. And now it's been installed. And if we go to my add-ons and go to my list, there it is. And again, I can turn it off, I can remove it, all that sort of stuff. Jump to Microsoft, who's got the newest on the bandwagon. And if we go to their menu and we go down, they have extensions. And I don't have any, so I have to go to the store. This is the Microsoft Store.
You might have to pay for that.
Some you might, some you don't. Extensions for Edge, and again, here's the list. And right there, it's in the category Ad Block and Passwords. So I pick Ad Block Plus. I want to get it. I don't want to access all my drives.
No.
I don't want to connect them all together. And so it's downloading it, and so I would have it. And you have to refresh your browser, and then once you add Ad Block Plus, then you don't see ads anymore. Like I said, go to your extensions and see what all they're there. Last one, I'm going to do my Vivaldi, and we go to Vivaldi, and I go down to my settings. Thanks, Al. Makes it faster, and I go.
One other thing, to get rid of that bar, if you want more real estate, F4 toggles it on and off, that sidebar on the left.
Right. Yeah, it just pops out and pops back. Let's see, where is it? Tools, extensions, Control-Shift-E. Now, I will tell you that the GM cars, there are 5 cars. Some of them were based on another car. Back in the days, the car I was talking about, those were the J cars. And they were all based on the Chevy cars, so that they just modified. Because of open sourceness and all, Vivaldi, you'll see when I go to get more extensions, you should see a clue right there. Only that's a color difference. That's a blue phase, and if you look down there, Chrome has color, because this actually then is kind of connecting with Chromium, even though it says Chrome, but it's the same thing. And so the same extensions that work on Chrome work on Vivaldi. That's where they go together. And the same thing, you find the one you want, add it, and you're ready to go. Okay.
I have a quick question about your Avast.
Before you ask your question, Don has to check his presentation file.
It's 4:07. Boom. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a few, so if anyone wants to go first, I got a few.
Well, if it's Avast, I'll do a quick one because we're talking browsers.
That's just a quick one, yeah. I wondered about that because Windows, you're obviously using Windows 10, that comes built in with Defender, it's security essential, so why would you want to use Avast?
Don't start me on that.
It's better.
Yeah,
That was that question.
yeah. What? Okay.
Your camera looks like.
Whose camera?
How do you, well,
Oh,
disable security?
not mine.
Perhaps someone has a question?
Oh.
Disable Defender, you can have to look out for it, because mine are turned off.
Meetings in progress.
Same time.
No, they don't. Defender might realize there's another reveal.
Oh, I can't see that because I'm running. All I can see is what? Let's see. Participants. They're all still there. All right. Other questions about browsers and foul breathing your head? Has this helped some of you realize that you do have choices? You're not restricted, and you probably need to go home and test drive some things. Test drive browsers, test drive searches. When you pick a browser, check out your extensions and add-ons. And then there are other features. Anything else?
I got comments and questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start from the back of my list. When it comes to your problems, you said you experienced with clicking on Microsoft News articles.
Yeah.
They have built into theirs, the ones they show you, what are called sponsored
Right.
news things, which are not often really news. Sometimes they're advertising. And they try to
But that was their news feed.
Right, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's the same thing. You can click on the Microsoft News feed from the actual application, or you can look at the homepage. Either way, some of those are sponsored links, and they might get you in trouble.
Well, the one I did was Reneuters and stuff. Yeah. When you're on the internet, you're at the mercy. I tell people, don't go to the internet. Don't use it. You don't know what you're doing. So be careful.
Question on speed. I noticed Firefox was really fast on this.
Chrome's faster.
And Edge claims to be faster than Chrome.
Right.
So have you know any facts about that for that journal?
I've got some good land in Florida. Really good land. The problem is everybody has their own result testing that they do. You saw my list said that Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and then Edge. The problem is, how do you tell? Every Windows Windows computer has Edge. So Microsoft could say Edge is the most used. False information because it's on every computer, but not every Windows person uses it. So
I can't use it.
it's hard to tell with ratings because who does different things? Who has the car that has the most gas mileage?
I thought that Microsoft's line, they always was. Comment, when it comes to browsers and searching, you have lots of options. Now, when you get Windows 10, it comes built in with Edge, but you don't have to use Edge. You can get Chrome or Firefox. Same thing with the browsers themselves. If you use Edge, it goes with Edge. If you use Chromium, it goes to Google, the search and all that. And they all have their own preferences. But you can change that too.
Right, that's what we were saying, yeah.
So you're not locked in. Be aware you have a lot of options. Even with your Android devices, Android is a Google thing, but you can use Edge on Android or Firefox if you want to. So that's a comment.
I don't think it's being received. There are 4 other conversations going on.
Well, that's okay. Anybody wants to listen?
Listen to you, because I've done one.
The most important thing, and this relates to the third one I got on here, is you got to be mindful of something called filter bubbles. You ever heard of that one?
Not that I know of right
Filter
now.
bubbles. It relates to how they all the search engines, including Google, Microsoft, all of them, they try to track you so that they can be your best friend, and they'll know what you're looking for next time and all that better. They'll track you. And they get so bad, or so good, depending on how you look at it, that it's like they know you, they know what you like, they know what you're looking for. I can do a search and it'll automatically pull up Wikipedia articles first on my search because it knows I like Wikipedia. Google knows that.
And that, I was going to say, that's why you've been told today about DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
And there's one other website that would be like second for me that does the same thing. They don't track you. So if that's of a concern, you'd better start going visiting DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not being tracked of what you're doing.
That's what I want to say, is that be aware that all the major search engines are going to get to this point where they're going to think they know you very well, and they're going to give you suggestions and stuff for music and everything based on what they think about you. But you got to be aware that if you don't want that to happen, I think it's nice, but you want to go to DuckDuckGo. Next.
I'd like to thank the people who joined us on Zoom and were able to attend by not coming out in the rain and all that. Or, you know, they could be somewhere. Bob G must be doing a presentation or something because he lots of times joins us from Arizona, but he's not here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this program for Zoom for now, and thank everybody. And if the presentation next month can be done this way, we'll be on Zoom again.